things I haven't really shared too much online, but it's becoming apparent with the current messages coming through that Source would like me to talk about this, is that I have been facing off with sensing and dealing with lower vibrational entities my entire life. It's very common for this to happen in childhood because, in my opinion, children are more susceptible to having to deal with lower vibrational entities because they are more open. So for me, it started very, very young. My parents had no idea how to deal with it, and there was definitely zero validation around what I was actually experiencing, which was being able to see into and feel into the spirit world. For a long time, it did not feel like a gift. It felt absolutely like a curse. In Christianity, because I was born into the church, they call it the gift of discernment, being able to tell what is a negative or lower vibrational entity and what is of God. When you get outside of the church, you can call it being psychic, you can call it being intuitive, you can call it being a witch, you can call it being whatever. I've literally had a million different labels thrown at me. Regardless, the truth is that I know for a fact the reality and the polarity in the spirit realm because I've been navigating it and dealing with it since I was probably about 4 or 5, which is actually a gift because now my kids deal with it and I know how to help them through it. So I want to give you a few pointers if you've been gaslit or if you don't know how to identify or how to discern if you're dealing with a lower vibrational entity. So we have 2 different types that very consistently interact with humans: the disembodied ones and the ones that are working through other human beings. You probably don't have as difficult of a time identifying it through a human because you will know them by their actions, by how you feel around them, by how you feel after you leave them. Consistent toxic behaviors, trying to harm people, having zero remorse, etc. However, the entities that are a little bit more difficult to discern and the ones that end up creating the most chaos, in my opinion, are the ones that are disembodied, because it's really easy to gaslight yourself into thinking that you're just really self-critical, having a terrible day constantly, dealing with intense anxiety, depression all the time. When in reality, it could simply be a lower vibrational entity that has latched itself onto you, or that has decided that it likes your house for whatever reason and is creating chaos. Like, I remember when I very first moved into my house, there was a lower vibrational entity that was, I guess you could call it a ghost of a woman who had passed there and would not stop trying to get my attention to tell me how she died. But it wasn't in a nice, fun, let's have a conversation type of way. It was in a harassment type of way. This is going to be a little bit of a longer video, but just hang with me. If you walk into a room, whether it's your own room, a room in your house, someone else's house, an office building, wherever, and all of a sudden you feel something in your heart space, and it feels like fear, anxiety, like you need to get the F out of there. It could be your intuition warning you about something, or it simply could be you picking up on a lower vibrational entity that's there. If you start having crazy vivid dreams, but in the dreams you're dealing with lower vibrational entities like ghosts in houses, or people in your dreams being possessed, or really gruesome things happening in front of you, like a lot of death, a lot of violence, very typically you are interacting with or having an experience with a lower vibrational entity in your dream. If you decide that you want to quantum leap your life, for example, or you want to start intentionally manifesting, and all of a sudden you get hit with hella anxiety, intense depression that you can't seem to pull yourself out of, or your health takes an absolute dive, those are also very common symptoms of you dealing with a lower vibrational entity that is trying to stop you and hold you back from reaching the next level. If you're having a great day and a great time, or maybe you are being intimate with someone, or you're just full of joy, and then randomly out of nowhere you get a super dark thought, or you start hearing yourself saying really negative things to yourself and it's trying to rip your joy away from you, likely that's a negative or lower vibrational entity. In my personal opinion, lower vibrational entities can also be not transmitted, that's not the right word, but given access to you when you are intentionally consuming lower vibrational or violent media, movies, etc. Anything that has a visual or an energy that's kind of encoded into it that is meant to create fear, anxiety, panic, etc., that can also open you up to experiencing symptoms and attachments from lower vibrational entities. Then you have just the random encounters, like you're just minding your own business and all of a sudden you feel something walk into the room and you're like, okay, the entire energy in this room just shifted. That's very likely a lower vibrational entity that for some reason decided it wanted to pay you a visit. I've had that happen many, many times, and it really is as simple as going, nope, we're not doing that today, please leave. However, if you start to get even a little bit of anxiety listening to this, or you're starting to realize that you've actually been dealing with some lower vibrational energies, one of the really fast ways that you can clear this out is to simply go into a little bit of a meditative state. It can be as simple as you just putting your hand over your heart space, getting really still, and asking for your spirit team of light, Source, God, I Am Energy, or Archangel Michael, who is a beautiful protector, to come in and help you remove any of the lower vibrational entities that have maybe attached themselves into your field or potentially have implanted themselves in your home. Do something physical in your space to also cleanse the space. Maybe open some windows, maybe light a candle, clear out any belongings that have negative emotions associated with them, any clutter, anything that's broken or stained or chipped that you really just don't need anymore. Maybe light some incense, change your sheets, go for a walk and get your physical energy moving throughout your body. Take a shower. If you're taking a bath, you can even sprinkle a little bit of salt in your bath to help ground yourself and clear yourself. And last but definitely not least, you can simply imagine a golden white light surrounding you and just ask that anything that is no longer serving you, anything lower vibrational, leave your field immediately. This is something that does take consistent spiritual hygiene. It's not just something that's like a one and done, especially as you start to do more intentional work. Your psychic abilities or your sensitivities towards different energies does become heightened, which is a beautiful thing. It's a great thing because it means that your discernment is also sharpening and your intuition is also sharpening. But sometimes, unfortunately, that means dealing with things that are not super fun. I will say I noticed that when I was in religion and I was highly religious, I was having more encounters and more issues with lower vibrational entities, which of course in my mind were just all demons when I was in that mindset. And I do think it's because I was in a religion where I was consistently in the mindset of, oh, I'm in constant spiritual warfare. And because I was in that mindset consistently, the law of vibration and the law of attraction was opening that in my field to consistently be having those experiences. So I don't want you to just kind of assign yourself the belief that you're constantly going to be having to deal with negative or lower vibrational entities. And if you are religious and you've noticed that you have really consistent encounters, it could be time to maybe rewrite some of those beliefs for yourself and really call in some extra protection. But the reality is, at the end of the day, as long as you're living in a state of as much alignment as you possibly can, you're practicing as much love and forgiveness and gratitude as much as you possibly can, keeping yourself as a clear channel, not intentionally loading yourself up with things that would make you a magnet for those things. You're not necessarily going to have to worry about this like ruining your life or having consistent encounters all the time. Like, I know for me, as someone who deals with anxiety, for me, when I was highly religious and dealing with consistent encounters, it was one of the most exhausting things ever. It literally felt like being tortured. So I don't want that to be something that like a fear that grips you. This is absolutely something that can be very manageable. Like, you're not going to deal with like exorcist type level situations. It just takes consistent checking in, and when you start to feel like something is off, just taking that extra step to clear your physical space, get your body moving, and ask for protection from the divine. Let me know if this was helpful or validating in any way, especially if you've been gaslit in the past to believe that everything is just all love and light and that there aren't any lower vibrational entities. And if you would love some assistance in clearing out some resistance in your body or any energetic blocks that may be there that may be stopping or slowing down your abundance or manifestations, check the caption for a resource for how to get 5 hours of abundance energy healing sessions from me.